I'm Juliet from Spoiled Rotten Beads, and today you have joined me when I'm going to be showing you how to make this lovely bubbly necklace that I'm wearing today using the new 4mm mushroom beads. I've made this necklace in two colourways, the aqua that I'm wearing and then the lilac here as well. So I'm going to take you through step by step and show you how to get started. So to make this lovely bubbly necklace, you are going to need 4 different colours of 4mm mushroom beads, and you see these mushroom beads here, they're such pretty pastel-y colours. They kind of remind us all here of those little million sweets that come in the packets of all the funky colours that my kids love. And then you're going to need some size 8 seed beads. You are going to need some Superlon bead cord, a Kumihimo Disk, a Kumihimo weight, some scissors, some no tangle bobbins, or you can use these bobbins here, which are really inexpensive, and if you're just doing something very simple like this, they seem to work very, very well, and I'll show you how to use those in a minute. You should use some fray block. If you haven't got fray block, then you could use clear nail polish, but fray block is brilliant because it does make the process of threading your beads so much quicker. And then finally you are going to need some Zap Gel, and when we get through to the end of the video and you start putting everything together, I'll also talk you through the findings and the cord that you will need just to finish off your piece. But right now that's everything you'll need to make the Kumihimo section of this necklace. So the first thing you need to do is cut yourself 4 1-meter lengths of the Superlon bead cord, and then take those 4 lengths and hold them together, all together, and just find the center. So I'm just going to do that now. There we go. So I found the center. There's the center of all 4 of my lengths of thread, and what I'm going to do is just tie a knot in all 4 lengths just above the center, and I shall do that and get my fingers out of the way, and then you'll be able to see what I've done. But just tying a regular knot like that. So what I've got now is that would be the center of my cord there, the end of my loop, and then I've got a knot above it, and what that will mean is I can use that loop there to attach the cords to the Kumihimo weight in just a moment when I'm ready to put everything on the disc. But before I go any further, what I'm going to do is just go back to the ends of my thread, and using my scissors I'm going to cut them all at a slight angle, because this will make threading the beads so much easier. So if you cut them at an angle like that, they've got just a little bit of a point to them, and it makes threading the beads much quicker. And then the other thing that makes threading the beads quicker is this amazing stuff here, which is fray block. So what I'm going to do is unscrew the lid of my fray block, like so, and then just take these ends that I've cut at an angle and push them into the top there of my fray block, just to give them a bit of a coating, and leave them to dry for 10 minutes. When I come back in 10 minutes time, they'll be nice and stiff, and it will make threading the beads so much quicker and easier to do. So I'm going to come back to you when my fray block has dried, and then we'll start threading the beads and setting our disc up. Okay, so my fray block has dried now, and I've hooked the loop onto the end of my Kumihimo weight there. And what I'm going to do now is take all the cords and pass them through the center of the Kumihimo disc. And then I'm going to set up my disc. And to set up your Kumihimo disc, if you've not done this before, you use the dots that are all around the outside of the disc. And to begin with, all you need to do is just put 1 cord either side of each of the dots. So you have a total of 8 cords, and you just put 1 cord into the slots either side of the discs, of the dots, and just center your cord like so, and it will look a little bit like that there. And now what I'm going to do is just pop that to one side and take the ends of my thread, and beginning with the top of my disc, and I'm going to work from the top here from number 32. I'm going to thread on the beads, and I'm going to alternate them as I go around the board. So I'm going to start with my pink, and then go on to my coral and my peach and my lilac. You'll see as I thread them on how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to start off here next to the number 32 with my first cord. And to make a necklace, sorry, my weights come off, but don't worry about that if it comes off at this stage. You'll put it on later on, so we'll come back to that later on. So I'm going to start threading on the beads. And to make the necklace this length here, what I've done is I've threaded the beads on with 15 size 8 beads, then 10 mushroom beads, followed by 15 size 8 beads. But if you want to make this a little bit smaller and make it into a bracelet size, then you could. And what I would say, to make a bracelet, I would still stick with the 15 size 8 beads, but I would take the number of mushroom beads down to down to 7, and then that will make this central bit a little bit shorter, and then you'll be able to make a lovely bracelet instead of a necklace. But I'm going to be making a necklace today, so I'm going to do 15 of my size 8 beads, 10 mushrooms, followed by 15 of my size 8 beads again. So to do that, because you've used the fray block and the end of the cord is nice and stiff, you can just use the cord like a needle. And I'm just going to count 15 of my size 8 beads. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that's 15 of my size 8 beads there. And now I'm ready to move on to my mushroom beads, and I need 10 of these. So you just want to, easier to pick these ones up than it is to keep them on the mat. And you just need 10 on each strand. There we go. 1, 2. So I'm going to come back to you when I've got 10 of these on, and then I'm going to thread 15 more of my size 8 beads on. I'm going to come back to you when I've done that and show you what it looks like so that you can see, and then I'm going to show you how to attach the bobbin. So I've threaded all my beads on now. So I've got 15 size 8 beads. I've got 10 of these lovely mushroom beads, and you can see how these mushroom beads kind of tessellate and nest together beautifully. And then I've got another 15 of my size 8 beads. And what I am going to do is take one of my bobbins and the end of my thread, and I'm going to knot my thread onto the hole on the bobbin, just with a double knot so that it doesn't come undone, like that. And then take all of the beads down to the bobbin. There we go, and wrap them around the bobbin, and then just tuck the thread into the notches on the bobbin so that it all stays put, and it will be hanging off the disc like so, just like that. And now what I'm ready to do is to move on to the next colour. So I've just done this thread here. I'm now going to move on to the next one on the disc. I'm moving around the disc here. I'm moving around the disc in an anti-clockwise fashion, but it's really up to you. As long as you go around the same way, it doesn't matter. So this time I'm going to thread on 15 of my size 8 seed beads, 10 of my coral colour mushroom beads, followed by 15 of my size 8 seed beads. When I've done that, I'll attach it to the bobbin in the same way, and then I'll move on to the next part of the disc, and I will be onto the peach colour. So I'm going to do on this thread here, I'm going to be doing 15, 10, 15, and then I'll add my bobbin, and then I'll be onto the next thread here, and I'll be onto the lilac colour where I'll do 15, 10, 15, add my bobbin, and then I will be, at that stage I'll have done these two and these two, And what I'll do is repeat the process for the other 4 of the threads, going back to my original colour. So it will go pink, coral, peach, lilac, and then we'll be back to where we started from. So I'm going to come back to you when I've threaded all my beads onto my bobbins, and I'll show you what it looks like, and then I will show you how to get started at braiding. Okay, so I have threaded up all of the beads on my disc, and I've laid it out for you so that you can see the pattern that I've created. So you can see that I started here and I've gone with the light pink, coral, peach, lilac, then back to the light pink, coral, peach and lilac as we go round the disc. So I'm ready now to start braiding. And so to begin with, what I need to do is just reattach my Kumihimo weight. You can use the loop, or if you find it easier, you can also use the clip that is on the Kumihimo weight there. The Kumihimo weight will just help keep everything in place and keep the tension on your braid as you start to braid. So I'm going to turn the disc around now so that it's facing me, and I'm just going to do a little bit of Kumihimo braiding without any of the beads, and that's so that we can create the end part of the necklace so that it can go into the end cap here, like so. So we're going to do a little bit of braiding without any beads. So if you've never done Kumihimo braiding before, don't worry, because it is really easy. Okay, so I am ready to start braiding. So all you do with your Kumihimo braiding is you take the thread that's on the bottom left and move it up across the board to the top, to the next empty hole on the top left, and then take the thread that's on the top right and move it down. Oh, I've got my threads tangled a little bit here. Here we go. There we are. Move it down to the next empty hole on the bottom right. You just tuck it in like so. And then you turn the disc. And you can turn the disc whichever way you want. It's up to you, just as long as you turn it the same way each time. So I'm going to turn it one sort of quarter turn. And then I need to take the thread that's on the bottom left. And I'm going to move that up to the next empty hole on the top left, like so. Then take the thread on the top right and move it down to the next empty hole on the bottom right. Turn the disc, bottom left to top left, and then top right all the way across to bottom right, and you just continue in that way. And if you just keep going, you'll see a little braid appearing in about 5 minutes time, which will have no beads on it, and it will just allow me to then attach the findings to my cord when I'm done. So I'm going to keep going, keep braiding, and come back to you when I've got that little piece of braid done, and then you'll be able to see what that looks like, and then we'll be able to do the exciting bit, which is when we start to add the beads in. Okay, so I've been beading for about 5 minutes now, and if I turn my disc over, you'll see I've got around about 1 centimetre of braid there that's appeared without any beads on it. So that means I am ready to start adding my beads to my braid. But just a handy little tip I'm just going to show you before I go any further is, if you have to stop braiding for any reason when you're doing Kumihimo, always stop with 3 threads in one position, 3 threads at the top, because then you know that your next move will be to bring that right hand thread down to the bottom. Because if you leave your board set up like that, it's very tricky to know which thread that you've got to move next. So always stop your Kumihimo with three cords next to one another, and then you'll know what your next move is. So in order to start adding beads, what we need to do is to open up the bobbins and take all of the beads off the bobbin part and put them on the thread nearest to the Kumihimo board. I've done that with all but one of my bobbins here, and I'm just going to show you how to do it with the last one here. So this is my last bobbin. So to move the beads off the bobbin and onto the thread, I just need to unhook the thread from the bobbin, take it down, move the threads, the beads up the thread, and then rewrap the thread onto the bobbin. not too tight, because you do want to have a little bit of movement so that you don't have to keep unwrapping the thread from the bobbin as you go. So now I'm ready to start adding the beads, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So we've already established that my next thread to move is going to be this one here, so I'm going to pick up this thread and drop one bead down and tuck it underneath that crossing thread there. So you can see that bead is just tucked into that little spot there. Just focus the camera in on it now for you, just so you can see. Is that a bit better? There we go. And now I can turn my disc and I'm ready to move the next one. So I'm going to drop a bead down, drop two beads there, just drop one, tuck it underneath the crossing thread, like so, and tuck the cord in at the top. The next one is this one to move, pull it down, tuck it under, like so, turn my disc, down, just one at a time, there we go, tuck it under. It's really important that it's tucked underneath that crossing thread. If it's not tucked under the crossing thread, then you'll find that the beads will not sit in the right place. So I'm going to move this thread now, tuck the bead underneath, see it's just popped underneath that crossing thread, turn my disc. I'm going to show you what the wrong position is for the bead. So you don't want you don't want the bead sitting on top like that. It must be tucked under. If it's not tucked under, then the beads will not sit in the correct position on your braid, and it won't look right. So you just want to continue braiding, but tucking a bead underneath each time as you go. And when I get to the mushroom beads, I'm going to show you how they look. You don't have to do anything different with the mushroom beads. They're just a little bit bigger to work with, that's all, but they'll tuck under in exactly the same way as the seed beads are. But if I turn my disc over already, you can see that beaded braid starting to appear under my disc. So I'm going to come back to you when I'm ready to start adding the mushroom beads to the braid. Okay, so I've been braiding for about 10 minutes now, and you can see my lovely beaded braid coming out of the bottom of my Kumihimo disc, and I've reached the end of my first lot of size 8 seed beads, and I'm ready now to start adding the lovely mushroom beads. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So it's exactly the same as you have been braiding before. You just take the next bead to move, drop the mushroom bead down, make sure it's tucked underneath the crossing threads, and just keep braiding as you normally would, just tucking the mushroom bead. I've got a straight size 8, there we go. Keep tucking those mushroom beads underneath like so, and they'll give that lovely bubbly effect to the finished piece. You may find the first few a little bit tricky, but just use the weight, the Kumihimo weight, just to hold everything in place, and you will find that they will stay put. There we go. So I'm just adding those lovely mushroom beads as we have before with the other beads, and you'll start to see that bubbly effect appearing underneath the disc there. So I'm going to come back to you when I've added all of my mushroom beads and when I've finished off my size 8 beads as well. So I'm just going to keep braiding now and come back to you when I've completely finished my braiding. Okay, so I've finished braiding now, and there is my lovely Kumihimo braid. And what I'm going to do now is show you how to finish off and how to attach the findings to make your necklace. So the first thing you need to do is take everything off the disc, but before you do that, what I recommend you do is take some Zap Gel and pop some Zap Gel around the parts of your braid that don't have the beads on them, and this will mean when you snip everything off the disc in a moment, it will not unravel. So I'm putting Zap Gel all around the parts of the braid that don't have the beads on them, and I'm doing that up here as well on the top here, just making sure that I've covered it nicely. And I'm going to leave that to dry for 10 minutes, and when it's dry I'm just going to come back to you and show you how to remove everything from the disc. Okay, so my glue is now dry and I'm ready to snip everything off the disc. So I'm going to use my scissors and I'm just going to snip away at my threads so that I can take the disc away. There we go. Take the disc away, and now what I can do is to just remove the Kumihimo weight. And what I'm left with now is my lovely braid. I've got my findings here, so I'm ready to start adding those. But you can see that if I'd made this a little shorter, it would have made a really pretty bracelet, and you could just glue the ends into your findings just to finish off and make a bracelet. But we're going to make this lovely necklace today. So what I'm going to do is just finish trimming off my threads. So I'm just trimming off my cords so that there's no little tails of thread there left there, and I'm going to trim off the knot that we made right at the very beginning as well. There we go. And what that means now is I've got these two braided ends that I can glue into these findings here. So I'm going to take my Zap Gel Glue and fill up those findings with some glue, like so. And then I can put the cord in and leave that to dry for 10 minutes. And when that's dry, I'll be ready to add my threads on just to make the end of my necklace here. So I'm going to come back to you in just a moment when that glue is dry. Okay, so my glue's dry and we need to attach the threads, the cords really, to the ends of the findings here. I've already done one side, but I'm going to show you how to do it with the other side here. So I cut myself two lengths of thread, each around about 30 centimeters long, and I fold the thread in half so I can find the center of the thread, and then take that center and thread it through the loop on the finding, like so. There we go. And then you can fold that over and pull the tails of the thread through that center loop there. Just be careful to keep the two ends of your thread the same length. I've managed to let this one become longer than this one, so I just need to pull this one through a little bit to make sure that they're approximately the same length. There we go, and they are now. So that's the ends of my thread now attached for the necklace, and what we need to do is just finish that necklace off now by gluing these two ends into our little hook and eye clasp there. And once again, you're going to use the Zap Gel Glue to do that. So I am going to fill the end of my findings up with some Zap Gel. There we go. And then you just simply want to push the satin threads into those little cord ends there, and just leave it to dry for 10 minutes. And when it's dry, it will be ready to wear. As you can see, my beautiful green one is all ready. So I think you'll agree these are really pretty necklaces. So please do let us know what you think in the comments below, and share your makes with us on our Facebook page, and check back soon for more inspiration. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.